My three best bets for NFL Week 7 Sunday action. We got a player prop in Colts versus Dolphins, a money line winner in 49ers versus Chiefs, and a pick on the spread between the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. We're coming off a nice win on Thursday Night Football, backing Bo Nix to go over 24 and a half rushing yards. It really hit with ease, which was awesome. He had 22 yards after the first drive and ended with 75 rushing yards. We also sprinkled on his anytime touchdown at plus 255. No dice. He didn't get in the end zone. But if you're stumbling onto this page for the first time, welcome. My name is Peter Appel, and I'm going for my fourth straight profitable NFL season. If you're into football picks, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think of my picks and, of course, what you're on for Week 7 Sunday action. I'll be sure to answer all the comments just like I always do. A reminder that this channel is sponsored by BetMGM. It is the perfect time to use promo code JustGridiron for a first bet offer up to $1,500. Deposit at least $10, and if you lose your first wager on MGM after using code JustGridiron, you'll get it all back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. So if you're new to MGM yet, it's an absolute no-brainer to take advantage of this promo. But gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. Let's start with the player prop first, as it's likely to be our shortest explanation, but it's showing a ton of value from my model. So much so that it's creeping into auto bet category for me. But as you know, I don't auto bet anything that just my model spits out, but it is showing insane value, and I do like to play on top of it. So Rhythm's prop projection model has Tyler Huntley under 29 and a half rushing yards as their most valuable play on the entire board this Sunday. They project him to have 13.6 rushing yards, which gives the under 29 and a half rushing yards line an 87.7% win probability. The same model that gave us Chris Godwin over 62 and a half receiving yards against the Saints. He went over 120 yards, and Bo Nix over 24 and a half rushing yards. He had 75. This makes a lot of sense to me. When you consider Huntley rushed just 3 times for 7 yards in Week 5 against the Patriots, the rushing opportunity should continue to be hard to come by for Huntley. In Week 5 against the Patriots, Devon Achane exited the game in the first quarter with a concussion and would not return. This would have opened up tons of opportunities for Huntley, but the Dolphins leaned heavily on the duo of Rithmm Mostert and rookie Jalen Wright, who combined for 166 yards on 32 rushes. As I mentioned again, Huntley ran for just 3 times for 7 yards, and he had plenty of opportunities to tuck it and run, and he didn't. Now, coming off a bye, Devon Achane is set to return in Week 7 against the Colts. The return of Achane will add another rusher to the mix with Mostert and Wright, who both deserve tons of touches in their own right, so I expect Huntley to be the 4th option on the ground, which should limit the number of design runs for him. In Week 5, again against the Pats, Huntley did not have a single design rush, which was a departure from 5 design rushes in Week 4 against the Titans, and that was in his first game. I think this is just a bad line. He was under this in 4 of his 5 games last year. He went over this line in his first start against the Titans. That's understandable. It was his first start. He had 5 design reads, tucked and ran more than usual, didn't really know the offense yet, and he finished with 40 yards rushing. But it was, again, aided by one 20-yard run. And there's a reason that this number is trending down. We got it earlier in the week at 31 and a half. We're basically betting against Tyler Huntley having a 20-yard run because I think that's the likely scenario for him to go over in this spot. If he were to go over, right, he would have to have a big, long run. And the Colts don't get a ton of pressure. Pass defense isn't very good. So there's no real reason for him to scramble in this one. And the Dolphins haven't shown that they're going to give him a bunch of design runs either. Huntley should have success through the air in this one, as the combo of Mostert and Achane should lead in the ground game. I would take this all the way down to 25 and a half, but I'm locked in under 31 and a half rushing yards for Tyler Huntley on the Dolphins. For our next pick, though, let's travel to Minnesota for a huge divisional matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. The Vikings are currently one of the 2 remaining undefeated teams. They hold a 1-game lead over the Lions for the NFC North division lead. And now, after a frustrating week 2 loss to the Buccaneers, the Lions have made a statement, dropping 40 plus in back-to-back games. The story of this matchup will likely be how the Lions' top-ranked offense in terms of EPA, they rank number 3, going up against the Vikings' number 1 rated defense by EPA per play, which will present a much more difficult test to the Lions than the Seahawks or the Cowboys. And the Vikings have certainly been the surprise of the season so far. They finished 7-10 last year. They had a 6.5 win total going into this season. They lost Kirk Cousins in the offseason, but it's been flourishing behind insane performances again from this defense and Sam Darnold. And Brian Flores, he just sends waves and waves of pressure, rocking a 52% blitz rate, which is the highest in the NFL. The Vikings are just coming down on teams and they don't know how to react. I'm a Rams fan, and I know that QBs in the Sean McVay system absolutely destroy the blitz. Now, Goff is clearly not on the Rams, but he was a Ram, and now he's with the Lions, and with the Lions, he's done exactly the same thing with Ben Johnson as his OC. Blitz Jared Goff if you want, but it doesn't often end well. The Lions have scored 30 points in each of their games against the Vikings last year, even when Brian Flores was the DC. And a big reason was Jared Goff's success against the blitz. Jared Goff is excellent under pressure and takes advantages of defenses that are getting too aggressive. This season, Jared Goff leads all qualified quarterbacks in completion percentage when under pressure at 64.5% and has just one turnover worthy play in 39 pass attempts under that type of pressure. The Lions are at their best when they can get the ball to playmakers, get the ball out of Jared Goff's hands quick, work in space, yards after catch, and Goff's high completion rate against the blitz allows them to do something just like that. Now, Brian Flores is going to bring pressure just like he always does, but can they actually get to Goff enough to make a difference? The Lions have arguably the best offensive line in football, so even if they do get to Goff more often than usual, I have faith that he can get the ball out of his hands quick. So by EPA, the Vikings have the best unit in this game, but I don't really like the matchup for their defense at all. And you could say, well, the Lions, they opened up the playbook. They gave so many trick plays in their last game, right, against the Cowboys. They almost forced it to their offensive linemen in the end zone when they had a sizable lead. I think they definitely remember last year, and I think it's hilarious that they stuck it to him like that. But I really do think this is a Ben Johnson masterclass game. He said in an interview this week, and I quote, "I'm not worried about putting things on tape. If anything, it will set up the next thing down the road. The well is deep." I'm not going to lie, that quote fired me up. Now, the Lions defense, though, they lost a difference maker in Aiden Hutchinson. Huge loss getting after Darnold, and I have downgraded them for it. However, this Lions defense is still really good. They rank 8th against the pass and 8th against the run by EPA per play. The weakest unit in this game, Vikings offense, ranks 14th in EPA. They're 10th through the air and 25th on the ground. Compare that to the Lions on offense, 4th in EPA, 8th through the air, and they're the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. It's also another indoor game for Goff, right? We took the Lions over wins this year. We have a lot of Lions futures because of how many indoor games. It's passer rating, and you can watch that video for all the different trends, but passer rating, completion percentage, winning percentage, just far greater indoors. No wonder they have averaged 29.4 points against the Vikings over their last 5 games against them. Now, the strongest units on the field, Lions offense, Vikings defense. But the Lions offense has proven they excel against the Vikings even since Brian Flores took over. They scored 30 points in both games against the Vikings last year, and the offense right now looks as good as it's ever has. The Lions defense lost Aiden Hutchinson, but the Vikings offense ranks 14th while the Lions defense ranked 9th in EPA. I expect the Lions defense to be a little bit worse, but the Lions are the number 1 in EPA on offense, number 1 in EPA on defense over the last 2 weeks. While the Vikings are 5-0 against the spread, 5-0 straight up, nobody is playing better football right now than the Detroit Lions. In a divisional game, I'll take all the points I can get. So give me the Lions plus 2.5 to win 1 unit. Now, my model on Rithmm that has an 11% back-tested ROI on spreads has the Lions as a 3.5 point favorite on the road against the Vikings. Now, I think that's a little bit aggressive, but I do think that the Lions should be, at worst, a pick'em in this matchup. I made them -1 with Hutchinson. downgraded it to a pick 'em. But now the fact that I'm getting points has to be the Lions. So make sure to go download Rithmm to make your own NFL prediction model. They also make models for you, and use code CORE25JG. That's code CORE25JG for a 1-week free trial and 25% off your first month. You want to get back tested models, tons of props, they got it for you. Highly recommend it. You can find the link in the episode description. For our final pick, we head to San Francisco for a rematch of last year's Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, last year, we made a nice chunk of change in the playoffs, backing Mahomes against the Ravens, backing him basically the entire playoff run. We almost always back him in the regular season as an underdog. It's gone really well. He's 10-3 as an underdog in his career. In the Super Bowl, I went with Mahomes MVP because I just wanted a bigger plus number. You'll never catch me fading the Chiefs, Mahomes, Reed in the playoffs ever. And after a bye, Andy Reid is 21-4 in his career as a head coach. You get his mind with Mahomes. I mean, that's terrifying. You probably heard all these trends, though, and most agree you take the Chiefs as an underdog when they're an underdog. It doesn't matter the spot. Brock Purdy is 8-2 as a favorite of 3.5 or less, or an underdog. But that's not as fun as these juicy Mahomes and Reed's trends. Maybe I'm walking into one here. I can't get over how good the spot is for San Francisco. While the Chiefs had the bye, doesn't mean they're all together for 2 weeks. During the bye, these players get off, return to game plan for that week. I'm not saying they don't talk to each other, but the team that's been in the building the longest is the 49ers. They're coming off extra rest too, last playing a game on Thursday. Now, head coach Kyle Shanahan has been playing Super Bowl tape all week leading up to this game. 49ers are 3-3. Need a win. Combine revenge with a relative must-win spot at home against the team that won the Super Bowl against you is the biggest motivation for a team I think I can even imagine. Also, in that Super Bowl, we can't forget that not only were the books confident enough to make the 49ers favorites, 49ers were winning at halftime. They went into overtime, and Mahomes led a touchdown drive to end the game to win that one. 49ers offense this year, even without McCaffrey, ranks 8th in EPA per play, coming off 2 big wins, 1 loss to the Cardinals, where they even outgained them. They just turned the ball over 3 times. 49ers defense is healthy, likely to be the most motivated unit in week 7 after rewatching Mahomes' game-winning touchdown drive. Can you imagine that? The 5-0 Chiefs ranked 10th on offense by EPA, and over the last 2 weeks, without Rashee Rice, without Isaiah Pacheco, scored 17 against the Chargers, 26 against the Saints. That's really awesome, but kind of looks less prolific against the Saints right after the Bucs put up 51 and the Broncos put up 33. Should the Chiefs even be 5-0? A toe tap against the Ravens gave them the win. Pass interference call against the Bengals. They won that game because of that. If they don't win this game, if they don't win those games, ask yourself, is the spread still the same, or is it much closer to the spread in the Super Bowl? 2.5, 3. Purdy even ranks higher in EPA plus completion percentage over expectation than Mahomes right now, ranking 6th compared to Mahomes at 12th. Mahomes has the lowest ADOT of his career. It's one of the lowest in the league. It's a lot of dink and dunk, lacks explosiveness from this Chiefs offense. And I just can't imagine a player like Fred Warner at linebacker letting them move at will. Obviously, I'm not making the argument that Purdy is better than Mahomes. I'm more here to tell you that Purdy has been a fantastic quarterback this year for the 49ers, even though they are 3-3. Boils down to this. It's in the most bet event of the year, last year's Super Bowl, the books made the 49ers a larger favorite than they currently are now on a neutral field. The books lost that Super Bowl, or at least they probably won a ton on props, a ton, parlays, all that. But I'm talking about just the spread. I was in Vegas. I was literally at the Aria, waiting in line to cash my Chiefs tickets with everybody else. Now, this Chiefs team is worse in the secondary without Snead, without 2 of their best playmakers in Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, and they're on the road here. On the flip side, we basically have the same 49ers team without Christian McCaffrey. And for all the rest that the Chiefs have after the bye, the next best option is coming off a Thursday night football game. If you have a rule not to fade Mahomes, I fully understand that, and I'm definitely not pushing you to take the 49ers. This is my first time ever fading Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. He's made me a ton of money, but I just can't imagine a better spot for San Francisco. And I think that this current 49ers team is better than the current version of the Chiefs. And with the entire world betting Mahomes as an underdog, the week after the public had the greatest week of their lives, I have to go with San Francisco here. Give me the 49ers on the money line, minus 120 to win one unit. Now, those are my 3 picks for Sunday, week 7 action. If you enjoyed, please consider pressing that like button. And if you always want more picks, make sure to subscribe and turn post notifications on for my Monday Night Football video, which will be coming out very soon. Let's go 3-0 on Sunday. Why not us?